Down in twos. Nah, we do. Baby Reed.
Catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Hey guys, welcome back in for the second edition of the Ball Street Journal. Checking back in once half of the first round is complete. Due to your suggestions, we're now on iTunes and hopefully Google Play. And we're trying to work our way to getting onto Spotify so that you can listen to the podcast on the go. Back with me today is Ajay.
What's up?
And this time we have joining us the guy behind the scenes, Sandeep, who does all the media work for us.
What up, though?
So let's just get right down into it. First thing I want to talk about is, get the brooms out because we finally got a sweep.
Yeah, the Pelicans, man. Completely. So all 22 ESPN analysts, not a single person, forget even picking the Pelicans to sweep, not a single person even picked the Pelicans to even win this series. And here they are, they completed a sweep of the Blazers.
Yeah, man, it goes to show you that having the best player sometimes is all you need. AD putting up monstrous numbers. What do you get, like 48 points in the last game?
Yeah.
It's completely just took anything out that Nurkic could do to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you come in as a third seed, you have Dame Lillard, probably, one of the top 5 point guards.
Is he?
I don't know. Should we get into the top 5 point guards?
Hey, you brought it up.
All right, so 1, Steph, clearly. 2,
Kyrie.
3,
Russ?
4. Is James Harden a point
Or
guard?
Chris Paul?
Chris Paul, maybe.
We know Chris Paul's a point guard for sure.
Okay.
At least this year. I mean, last year he probably wouldn't have been in the top 5, but he's been playing at a good level this year.
Okay, so then who's your 5 then?
What about someone like Kyle Lowry?
What about someone like Damian Lillard? Are you serious? Kyle Lowry over Damian Lillard?
I mean, he's been snubbed from so many All-Star games. We might as well start snubbing him from the top 5 point guards in the league.
Oh my goodness. So you're going to drop him from the ranking because he didn't win this playoff series?
I mean, dude, I just don't think this team has it. I mean, the Portland Trail Blazers struggled all series, and guys like Damian, who usually have the swagger, coming up, taking big shots.
Talking about Dame time.
And who was taking the shots in the clutch time? It was Al-Farouq Aminu. You can't win a playoff series with Al-Farouq Aminu taking your clutch time shots.
I mean, Portland's kind of been following the formula, right? You have a all-star backcourt, you have stretch big men that can shoot. Why do they lose a series? And if that's the winning formula for almost every other team in the league?
Well, maybe Anthony Davis is the thing that goes against that. I mean, they tried to build together the Twin Towers again, right? What the Lakers had with Gasol and Bynum. I mean, if Boogie was still healthy, that's what they would have with AD and Boogie.
Yeah, and while we're on the point guard rankings, Rondo clearly outplayed Dame Lillard in this series, right?
Oh, that's true. Playoff Rondo was a thing, man.
I don't know about regular season Rondo. Playoff Rondo looked like a top 5 point guard.
Yeah, playoff Rondo 6-0 in the last 6 games. I mean, we forget that, when he was with the Bulls, they almost had that series. They were up 2-0 before he got injured.
Yeah, I mean, so then what's the future for this team then with the Portland Trailblazers? Do they break it up? What do they do with Nurkic, who's a restricted free agent? What do they do with McCollum, who clearly is going to need a payday? If not, did he already get paid?
I think he got his extension 2 years ago, so he has 2 or 3 years left on his contract. But I mean, it is a tradable contract because he signed it before the cap went up.
And he's a good player, so I mean, it's always easier to move a big contract when you're with a good player. I mean, we saw with Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
So this is the second straight playoff series that the Blazers did not meet expectations.
Let alone they got swept.
They're
swept. They're 0-8 in the last 8 games.
Oh, yeah. So
2 years in a row swept.
Is this a talent thing? I'm not sure. Is it a coaching thing? I don't know.
Or 2 straight bad matchups. I mean, last year the Warriors, they were unfair matchup to anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And now this year.
I mean, this was a 3-6 playoff matchup, but what's the difference between the one game?
Yeah.
Right. If Boogie was healthy, who knows? They might actually be the 3rd seed.
I mean, AD did say that with Boogie they're a championship team, and I thought it was a joke in the middle of the season. But I mean, when you got Drew Holiday playing back to a Sixers All-Star level, maybe that's what this Pelicans team is.
Yeah, his defense was incredible. Drew Holiday, he was shot. I mean, whether it was Rondo and Drew, both of them played incredible defense, but especially Drew Holiday. The game 1, the block at the end on Connaughton, it seemed he had a wide open layup, and Drew Holiday came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and not let alone I think having a guard who can do big shots, and I think that's why this is a guard-driven league nowadays. At the end of the game, you can't just throw it down to a low post like you used to be able to do to get that shot, and I think Drew Holiday stepped up big time, getting some, end of the game shots, just like yesterday we saw it. They came in and he made the clutch 2-pointer that put him away.
So, going into the playoffs a little further now, the Pelicans are going to be facing the winner of the Spurs-Warriors series.
Yeah, which we presume is going to be the Warriors. They're already up 3-0. Probably will close it out today.
Yeah, I think that, as great as of a coach as Pop, sometimes just talent beats out. And I wonder what Kawhi is doing sitting there, probably in New York, looking at his team getting hammered every single game.
I mean, what do you do with a player like Kawhi now? So, during the Pelican series, we saw DeMarcus sitting in the sidelines, right? Yesterday he was there with those yellow shaded sunglasses looking pretty fly. and Kawhi is out in New York doing God knows what. We haven't heard from Kawhi in weeks. And the last time we heard anything from him was he doesn't have any intentions to move on from the Spurs. But, do we take that with a grain of salt? Because clearly what he's actually doing goes against it.
Yeah, and one thing that's not been talked about, I mean, you guys, we could talk, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but the Jordan brand, he signed with them, but they offered him a contract. And he also refused that contract, which is surprising because this guy should have seems like he's a big enough player, but maybe being on the Spurs, not a big market.
I think he also doesn't talk too much. I think you always see like the bigger personalities getting the bigger contracts, and to be honest, he's a smaller personality. He doesn't talk too much. Even with this injury, he hasn't been really telling the media anything. Yeah. He drives his old car. Like he doesn't splurge money like other players do on nice things to show off. I mean,
yeah. So I think that's where rumblings also started because they're wondering maybe he didn't sign this shoe deal because he feels if he's on another team, his market value may be higher compared to these other players.
So do you think this is Kawhi's doing, or do you think this is him being around his boys and his family and them?
I think his uncle, his uncle's the one who's running it.
So this uncle, I haven't heard anything from
uncle.
this uncle in the past like 6 years, and all of a sudden this uncle's out of nowhere.
Because he's now he's his money manager or something like that, right? Before he had some other guy doing it.
Seems like he runs everything. Kawhi's uncle runs his whole life.
So now I'm kind of scared for Kawhi because I don't know who this guy is, and ever since this guy came to the picture, now this is when we all start talking negatively about Kawhi. I mean, everybody loved Kawhi before this. Unanimously loved superstar. Probably the only top 6 player that everybody actually loves.
And it's not a good look when your coach, Pop, keeps coming out and taking shots at your best player and saying...
And Pop is known to be a guy who takes shots at his players. Like, historically, he doesn't do that. So he's frustrated as well.
Yeah, when he continuously says, you would have to ask Kawhi and his group, like, always taking shots. Even that post-game interview was saying, LaMarcus Aldridge, he's always there for his teammates, plays injured. Yeah. It seemed clearly a shot at Kawhi.
Yeah, and I mean, the Spurs are saying that they're not going to trade him in this offseason, but I think they would be stupid not to at least take some phone calls and see what they can get for him.
Yeah, or if they offer him the Supermax extension that he's eligible for, $219 million over 5 years. And even if they do, is Kawhi going to sign it?
Big question.
I don't even know if he would sign that just because I don't know Kawhi personally, but I just feel like he's the kind of guy that values, personal relationships and, development over money, right? And if he doesn't feel like the Spurs really looked out for him, because I think part of the reason this is all going down is because the Spurs medical team actually misdiagnosed him. I feel like he might have been pressured to play, right? He had the injury from the playoffs, came back, played only 9 games and had another injury after that. So I'm a doctor and we're all doctors, so I'm going to assume that these were somehow interrelated, right? And it's the IT situation all over again, right?
Well, that's what he's worried about. I think he's worried that if he comes out and he gets a bigger injury, that he's going to be this untouchable asset and he's not going to get paid.
Yeah. IT went from a guy who's about to make $30 million to maybe making $5 million when he's a free agent next year. So
right, and the question becomes, by doing this, is he also costing himself money by maybe not being offered the Supermax?
Yeah. So does RC Buford pull a Danny Ainge and trade his best player?
I mean, it depends on what assets he gets. I think he has to at least entertain phone calls. Like, if you're going to be getting, if you can get something like Tatum and Brown and also a first-round draft pick, I mean, that's a lot of haul over.
Damn, you're still in Boston?
I hate Boston.
I mean, you lived there for 8 years and now you're writing out for him. I don't know if he's going to go to Boston.
But I mean, Pop said he won't trade him to a Western Conference rival or any team in the Western Conference to help them out.
And also, in Boston kind of makes sense. I mean, you're still going to have a foundation for a good team that's win now. You're going to have some players coming back, Kyrie and Hayward, and I think Kawhi might be a good fit in that area.
Yeah. And they still have picks coming up. They have the Kings pick and the Grizzlies picks coming up in following years.
One thing I would have really loved to see is Kawhi to New Orleans, right? Or probably Boogie, right? The Spurs get to redo that Twin Tower situation with LaMarcus and Boogie Cousins, right? I mean, he's coming off an injury, but I'm sure Pop can keep him under control and get the most production out of him. And then you get AD and Kawhi in New Orleans with Rondo and Drew. Oh my goodness.
That'd be a very dirty
Yeah.
team.
My biggest thing is, are we going to see Parker and Ginobili come back? I mean, I think they came back for like one more because they were so close to maybe being the Warriors last year. I mean, they were up 20 points in that first quarter, or first half before Kawhi went down. So is this it? And is Pop going to retire too? With all this stuff happening with his family,
I think Ginobili said he was going to come back for 1 year, right?
the offseason changes everything. So
It's just funny. Who would have thought that Zaza, when he stepped on Kawhi's foot, that would have changed the Spurs' whole franchise fortune. Zaza basically changed the course of NBA history.
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
wow.
So we're looking at a potential Spurs team next year without Kawhi, without Ginobili, without Tony Parker,
And maybe without Pop.
in a starting lineup of Danny Green, LaMarcus Aldridge, Patty Mills. I don't even know who the other two stars would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray's still kind of doing well.
I guess they may go into tank and hope to find the next Duncan or Robinson.
Yeah. I mean, the other question is on the flip side with the Warriors, like, are they now the championship favorites? I mean, I think Vegas finally had them as equal to the Warriors, equal to the Rockets right before the season ended, and now they're killing it. I mean, even without Steph.
Yeah.
I mean, did the Warriors do anything in this playoff series that would help their odds? I don't think anyone really expected the series to go past 5 games, if that.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the playoffs with their regular season form, where they finished 7-10, so there were questions whether this team is
Survive with us, Curry.
without Curry and is the same team as previous years. But the fact that they've at least taken care of their business shows us that okay, the Warriors are Warriors; they're going to be okay. And Steph starting to practice.
He looked good before pregame workouts. You saw him like with resistance and getting up and down the court. He looks good.
Yeah, he's upping his rehab, and if they finish the sweep today, they'll have some rest before the second round.
Yeah, and the rest might be big because you saw Durant tweaking his ankle at the end of that game 3.
Do you think they even need Durant for this final game against the Spurs?
I still, because it's a road game, and the Spurs are gonna give it their all if it's gonna be their potential last game of the season. So, and Durant's their only. But Clay's been scorching hot, and he's been making their catch and shoots threes. But Durant's that one guy where if everything goes awry in the offense, then you give it to KD.
And there's no one that can guard him. I mean, you see it every time he takes the ball. He's got a foot over the next guy when he's shooting it.
Well, so let's go back to the Steph injury real quick. So, is this the same injury that he had 2 years ago when they were playing the Cavs and the Cavs won?
So with the knee.
No, it wasn't an ankle injury back then?
So he had an ankle injury,
And he
and
came
then
back
remember
and he
he
hurt his
came
knee.
back, and then he slipped on that wet spot on the floor,
Right, yeah.
and then that was the knee.
Oh,
So
that
right
was
now
it.
he's dealing with a knee injury.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's kind of similar in the sense that he had a knee ankle injury in the regular season, came back his first game, then he had he sprained his MCL.
Yeah, because towards the end of that playoff series, the final series, he was not looking that hot. So
You couldn't beat Kevin Love
Yeah,
off
he
the
couldn't even
dribble.
beat Kevin Love off the dribble in that infamous final possession. So
The stop.
does this make the Rockets a favorite then?
Well, I mean, coming to the Rockets last night, they sort of look shaky there, right? And second consecutive bad shooting game from James Harden. So they I don't know if you can call them the favorites anymore.
Yeah, and this is the stereotypical offense that's always won in the past has not been the isolation heavy. It's been the team basketball heavy, and the Rockets were doing it all season. They were the ISO heavy team, but it's the playoffs, and once you get a team that can, especially like Tibbs, who's a defensive minded coach, getting game after game to game plan, is this what's gonna take out that isolation heavy basketball that the Rockets are known for?
Yeah, I mean the Timbs never really had a chance at beating the Rockets, but they were probably the best team in the playoffs to match up against them. Right, you got the Tibbs perimeter defense that's going to shut down their isolation game, their perimeter shooting game, and then you have a big man in Cat, who the Rockets have nobody to guard them, and probably no one else in this playoffs other than maybe AD is the only other person that probably can guard him too. But the Rockets probably move on after this.
Well, it took Tibbs 3 games to figure out give Cat the ball. I mean,
Oh,
you can't have Wiggins doing spin cycles day after day.
Or the fact that Cat should be taking more shots than Derrick Rose.
Yeah. As Ajay always says, if Derrick Rose on the court,
The plus minus, it's going way down.
yeah. I mean, Tibbs is trying to harness that MVP Derrick Rose, but that guy is long gone, and I think that so are there. I think so are their odds in the playoffs moving forward.
I don't know, man. I mean, for as much shit as we give Tibbs for not really thinking about offense too much and playing his players too long and getting too much on defense, that this guy actually rides out for his players. I mean, Tim's team is basically the Bulls 2.0, or at least half the Bulls that he had are now on this team again, right? Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, Jimmy Butler. I mean, these are all the best players other than Joakim Noah.
All he's missing is Noah. Yeah.
I mean, if he wants him, the Knicks will
Buy him
gladly
out.
trade him.
Buy him out,
We'll
Dolan.
gladly trade him to him if he wants to take that contract.
And the Lakers will gladly give you the whole thing.
Oh man, but I'm happy to see that at least in the first two games, it looked like Paul and Harden were pushing on the boundaries of are they not able to do it in the playoffs. I mean, Paul played really well, and
he's looked better than Harden.
Well,
so
Paul played really well until again the last 2 minutes, right? It was like, what was it, 2 games ago when he just randomly threw the ball into the stands with like a minute left, and so it's just this constant issue with Chris Paul where every single time he gets to a big moment, he just like, dude,
falters. Just hold the ball and get fouled. That and I don't know why he did that.
Well, it was 420 a couple days ago, so hopefully he picked up something to help calm the nerves.
Yeah, man. I think that Tibbs, great defensive-minded coach, but I think the lack of his offensive creativity is really causing them to have a lot of trouble. I mean, you see that what ends up happening is Jimmy Butler gets the ball late in the shot clock and has to make something happen. You just can't have playoff success like that, especially against the Rockets. Even though they got the one win, I think that this is moving towards a gentleman's sweep, and I think the Rockets will probably close it out.
Yeah. For the Wolves, it's either transition offense, like a quick bucket, or because their half-court offense it's either dump it into Cat, or if they don't end up doing it, it's a late shot clock shot by and it's a forced shot by Butler or Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have that creator point guard, that creator guard.
Yeah, Jeff Teague, like that's what he was supposed to be, but
not really.
So the question becomes: is Tibbs even a good coach anymore?
Of defense, yes, but I think he's one of those guys. When, for example, in Boston, they had Doc Rivers as the head coach, but Tibbs was like the defensive coordinator per se of those Celtics defenses, and that's why they were so good. And I feel like he needs a similar guy to take care of the offense.
So maybe hiring an assistant coach
that's like an offensive, like quote unquote guru.
Well, are you saying that this is a case of really great talent, but not having the coaching to take advantage of it? Because you have a top 10 player in Jimmy Butler, you have another top player in Cat, you have a guy with a lot of great potential in Wiggins who hasn't really developed to what we thought he would be, and is this really just a testament to Thibs' lack of player development and just being like, I have my way and we're going to do it my way and we're going to play defense hard for 48 minutes and then we'll figure out the rest?
Well, I mean, because you see in other teams like, Spoelstra and the Heat, they were able to will a win together. I think good coaching does make all the difference. And so, the Heat, I honestly thought that they were probably going to get swept after the first game, but they came back in game 2 and played hard in Philadelphia, and they were able to scratch together a win.
Yeah, along with vintage D Wade.
Yeah, man, I didn't know it was 2006 again.
Looking like coming back to Miami with their whole strict diet regimen and the weekly weigh-ins.
Turning back all their time.
Yeah, Wade's gotten back in shape. He said he had the highest body fat on the team when he got back to Miami, but he's worked on it and now he's in shape. But so like you were saying, coaching helps, but ultimately in the past 2 games in Miami, what we've seen is the talent is just incredible on Philly, especially after Embiid came back.
Yeah,
I feel like he could have played game 2, but the fact that the Sixers won game 1 pretty easily, they're like, all right, it's fine. Game 2, let's try to just give him one more day. But that loss brought Embiid back, and now the Sixers are just... I thought they were dangerous before Embiid came back. Now they look on another level.
Yeah.
For all the praise that we give Spo for the great coaching and player development, the one thing he's never really figured out is how to get the most out of Hassan Whiteside, right? I mean, those plays when Hassan Whiteside actually tries and goes at Joel Embiid or actually plays defense on him, I think that really shows how great the series can be, and the fact that we're missing out on that just infuriates me as a basketball fan, because this could probably be the best first round playoff series in a while.
Is that Spo's fault, or just the fact that Hassan is not what they want, or he's just being petty about his playing time and not playing with the same hustle? Just, you know what I mean? If you give him the playing time when he's on the floor, he should give the full effort. But I think he's just being, I'm not going to show up in the fourth quarter, so why even try sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for him. You know, I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but if I was getting paid $100 million to play basketball and watch basketball and read about basketball or whatever they do, I would probably do it to the best that I can. And it just...
Unless he's one of those guys, now that he's gotten his money, he's whatever about it.
Yeah, he doesn't have the competitive edge. I mean, you see Winslow on the team. He's still got the competitive edge. Cost him $15K for knocking down Embiid's
Crushing
mask.
the face mask.
But at least he has the fire, and I think that if Hassan Whiteside could even have 50% of that fire, that he could maybe make this more of a challenge for the Sixers.
You know, you have guys like Dwayne Wade, Udonis Haslem, Juwan Howard, and not one of these three guys can get into his head and just get him to actually play basketball.
Or the ultimate godfather, Pat Riley.
I don't know what's going to happen with the Heat after this, but I think they've shown a lot of heart with the way they've competed against a superiorly talented Sixers team. And just watching Ben Simmons play, I mean, this guy just freestyles on the court. Like, he doesn't know what he's going to do when he gets to the paint, but for whatever reason, he always makes the best play possible.
Yeah, his decision making, he's one of those guys where you think he seems out of control, but he knows that he's always in control, and he knows what he wants to do, sees the play happening before it actually happens, and finds these shooters. Just incredible court vision.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because I thought that that's what LeBron needed early in his career, which is it took him a while to figure out that it needs to be LeBron with 4 shooters around him. And I think Ben Simmons coming to the league and seeing LeBron's success, seeing that if I can't shoot, if I put a lot of shooters around me, I can still make it happen. And for him, it worked out because it's the Sixers team, besides probably Malcolm and Fultz, everyone else shoots well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you watch these guys play defense on Ben Simmons, and they're giving him like 3 feet off the 3-point line, and he just takes the open space. He just gets into the paint. Once he's in the paint, he's like, well, I can either dunk, lay it up, or I'll just kick it out to JJ Redick. I'll kick it out to Joel Embiid, KCP. No, not KCP.
Not KCP. Wrong team. Wrong team, bro.
Yeah.
Covington, right? And I think is this kind of like what the Orlando Magic did when they made the finals run?
This as Stan Van Gundy 4 out, 1 in with Dwight.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's not a big man, but he's getting into the paint like a big man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Sixers are the hype of the Eastern Conference right now, and it's kind of scary when you look at them and how great they've been doing the rest of the regular season and so far into the playoffs, and you look at LeBron, who's been the king of the Eastern Conference for so long. Are we seeing a passing of the guard? Are the Sixers now, at least for this year, the team to beat in the East?
It's looking like it. I mean, the Cavs have looked very shaky. So this is a LeBron team, Game 3. They were up 17 in the first half, and then they had a huge lead even in the third quarter. And then the Pacers just kept coming at them. The props to the Pacers, they're like relentless. Oladipo, Lance Stevenson, and Deep. I know you're getting pretty nostalgic seeing Bogdanovich.
I miss those threes, man. I miss those threes.
Bogdanovich, I mean, not only the threes, but is he the LeBron stopper now?
He played great defense on LeBron, but to be honest, I think JR gave this game away, and the bullshit that he pulled at the end of that game is so infuriating to watch.
It was 420.
Yeah, it was because I'm guessing he probably partook and
I think
had some medicinal in the system coming into the game.
he might have finished his 4 drug tests for the year. So
I mean, clearly, because you watch the replay for the final play of the game, and Darren Collins is walking up to the free throw line to take the second shot. Kevin Love is literally yelling at LeBron across the court what the play is going to be, right? Jordan Clarkson knows what's happening. Rodney Hood knows what's happening. The entire Pacers team knows what's happening. And this guy, J.R. Smith, who's standing right next to Kevin Love, somehow does not hear this call. Out-rebounds Kevin Love for the rebound, despite the fact that Kevin Love is probably the single best outlet passer in the NBA.
Yeah.
Gallops down the freaking court and taking maybe like 5-6 seconds to get down there. And then shoots the ball early with the second left, not even looking at the fact that Jordan Clarkson was open in the 3, at a corner 3. Kevin Love was open for probably a 30-footer. LeBron was posting up bogey, probably could have just turned around and shot it too. But no, this guy wants to shoot over 2 defenders and just completely brick the shot.
Yeah, he was playing hero basketball.
Well, he probably practices that shot, so I think that's why he played.
Yeah, the practice at Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson would run at him all the time. Oh my god.
But I think you're getting to see that this is probably the weakest LeBron team we've seen in a long, long time. I mean, probably since his first stint with the Cavs.
With the Booby Gibson.
Yeah, the 2017.
Yeah, the Hall of, maybe not Hall of Famer, but it's Zdrunas Ilgauskas. I mean,
He's not Hall of Fame.
he's got his jersey in the rafters.
He's in the Cleveland Hall of Fame.
Cleveland Hall of Fame, yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what European country he's from. Maybe he's in that country's Hall of Fame. But not.
I mean, so you got a starting lineup of Booby Gibson, Drew Gooden, Zdrunas Ilgauskas, Delonte West, and LeBron back in the
Mr.
day.
West, yeah.
Is that team really better than Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, J.R. Smith, and Kevin Love?
Well, they got to the finals at least. These guys don't look like they're going to be getting to the finals, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that LeBron was maybe about the same as this. I mean, that was 11 years ago. So, and it's crazy that LeBron's probably just as good, if not better, now.
Well, the LeBron back then was just scorer LeBron, right? Remember that game he had against the Pistons where he scored the last 20? Yeah.
Yeah.
And this LeBron is like, I'll score if I have to, and I'll get 40 if I need to, but I'd much rather have 14 assists and 10 rebounds instead.
Yeah, but he makes it happen. What did he score the first 17 points or something like that? Game 2. I mean, is that what it's going to take for him to win a game, or let alone the series?
Yeah. The biggest difference, I think, the LeBron now is the defensive end. And just the fact that he's older. We saw in Game 3 where he had a turnover and he didn't even run back on defense and it was a 5-on-4 for the Pacers, and Bogdanovich got the wide open 3.
Yeah, transition 3.
And that was LeBron's man. Like, Bogdanovich is guarding LeBron. He should have covered him on the other end.
But I think that's the two discrepancies of this team. Like, the Pacers are playing like a team. I mean, Victor Oladipo is their leader, but you saw Bogdanovich put up big numbers. Victor Oladipo, first off, let me say, man, that guy got ripped. Like, I think they put up a picture during one of the games, and what was it, 6 weeks or something like that? He went from looking probably like one of us to looking like Dwayne the Rock Johnson or something, man.
I mean, I think it's the year with Russ helped him. He learned what it means to like get prepared for the games and work what it means to train and everything, and be in shape so that you could perform like the way he is.
That's crazy. You're talking about a guy that people thought was a bust in terms of where he was drafted, and now you're seeing him lead a team against arguably the best player to ever play the game, and having the upper edge here.
Well, I mean, he is back home, right? He went to Indiana State for school, and now he's back
Indiana
home.
University.
Not Indiana State.
I don't know the names of the universities, man. I barely even watched the tournament to start off with. But yeah, there's something to be said with actually going home and playing from that home base that you've grown with, and he's just playing out of his mind. And I don't think anyone expected. Everyone thought Pacers was going to be a lottery team, probably a top 5 pick team.
People shat on the Pacers for that trade, and they thought they got completely ripped off.
Yeah, and now they're on the verge of probably changing the course of the NBA East for the next few years.
Yeah, should we be giving more to the coaching in terms of getting this team so cohesive and so team-oriented so quickly?
Yeah, who knew Nate McMillan can coach? I mean, this guy's not had a great coaching record, and then he's just done an incredible job with this team.
Nate McMillan is a better coach than LeBron, apparently, now.
Well, that's what it's looking like, and
so let's play out a hypothetical then. Let's say, not that I'm ready for this because I don't know if I'm ready to watch a LeBron-less finals, but let's say they lose this playoff series, that they lose to, who do they play the next round? They got the Sixers, I guess?
So they're the 14th, so they would play the Raptors.
Raptors or the Wizards.
Or the Wizards.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So if they lost this series, or I would like to think they could beat the Raptors or the Wizards, but let's say they don't get to the finals. What happens to Cleveland after this?
I think LeBron's gone.
All right, you don't have an opinion on this because you're a Lakers fan.
Where is he going to? Oh yeah, he's gonna go to the Lakers like everyone else. Right?
I mean, if you own two houses worth more than $20 million in the city, why wouldn't you want to live there?
You know, there's another team in Los Angeles, right? It's not just the Lakers.
He's not going to the Clippers.
Listen, the Clippers had their window and they failed.
Yeah.
And now the Lakers are up.
I mean, if LeBron leaves, what does that leave? I mean, is this?
I guess
the
the Brooklyn pick.
Dan Gilbert sending out another
letter.
It looked like a mean tweet to me, to be honest, instead of a letter.
Oh yeah, now he could just get on Twitter and just shit on LeBron.
Yeah, that would be so sad to see if LeBron breaking the hearts of Cleveland fans again.
I mean, there's nothing to keep him, right? Is Kevin Love really going to be the deciding factor between whether LeBron leaves or not? Because we saw from his barbershop interview, his family really does not like Cleveland. They really don't like the organization itself. There is no talent around.
He came back just because he felt he owed the city something and he wanted to get them a championship.
Right, which
he
accomplished.
He's done
right?
that, yes.
So what's the next stage for his career? To win more championships with the Lakers and add on to that legacy, or build your own legacy somewhere else, maybe in a place, say, Brooklyn.
That's not gonna happen. I mean, you just goes to show you when an organization is kept together and is well oiled, people like to thrive there. I mean, you saw last year. It was just 1 year ago. We're forgetting that Cavs were, we thought could have won the NBA championship. I mean, they had Kyrie Irving, and what did it take Kyrie? Kyrie looked at the offseason. He probably saw that his team was falling apart, and he bolted to an organization that he thought he could thrive in with the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, why should I stay here if LeBron may leave in a year? So I'm about to get out before the things get worse.
You think LeBron would be so petty to go to the Celtics?
I don't think that he's going to go to the Celtics,
Yeah.
but the Celtics are thriving without even Kyrie Irving. It just goes to show you that,
Brad Stevens for president.
yeah, man, is he the coach of the year? Is he the best coach in the NBA?
I think, I mean, besides Pop, I think he's probably the best coach in the NBA.
Because you're talking about taking two rookies, a rookie and a second-year player, and Brown and Tatum, and you know they're crushing it. I mean, they're doing everything that they can.
And all these random guys, Shane Larkin, and he made Daniel Tice look like a nice player before Tice went down also.
Right.
And then basically it's Tatum, Brown, and Horford. That's your team. I mean, even someone like Aaron Bates, like Stevens makes him look like a productive player. And Terry Rozier, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. I mean, Eric Bledsoe might not know who Terry Rozier is, but I think the rest of us do.
But the position the Celtics are in right now against a team like the Bucks that has immensely more talent than the Celtics have right now, I think it just goes to show how great it is to have amazing coaching, because the Bucks, I mean, with Giannis and Brogdon and whoever else is on their team that I'm blanking on now.
Yo, come on, Bledsoe.
Bledsoe. I mean, Joe Prunty's is not doing it for him right now.
Well, he did make a good move. I mean, he put Brogdon in the starting lineup, and they were able to come out victorious in Game 3.
Yeah.
So he's doing something. At least he's not doing nothing. He's trying his best to try to get this Bucks team, and maybe what he needed was Brogdon and Jabari to get on the court. And let's not forget Thon Maker.
I was just gonna say, don't forget Thon Maker.
Yeah, what is it? 5 blocks and a couple of 3 threes or something like
He
that.
looked
was
like
the
the
heart of
modern day Hakeem Olajuwon in the first
Seriously,
quarter.
man, he was something else.
So what's gonna happen in the series? You think Giannis is just gonna say, screw you, Joe Prunty. I'm gonna make sure we win this series, because I think coming in, this was probably the upset that I predicted. I didn't predict an upset like Pelicans against the Blazers, but I thought the Bucks were gonna beat the Celtics in 6. Do you think I'm still right, or is it going the other way?
So after watching Game 3, I had some doubts. So I picked the Celtics to win this in 6, but I think I'm still gonna stick with that pick. I think the Celtics still do win it in 6. Just because we saw one game of this from the Bucks doesn't mean they're gonna keep it up. So I still think the Celtics will overcome the fact that the Bucks just don't have great leadership at the top with the coaching.
I kind of disagree. I think Prunty made the moves necessary for them to get to another level. I think it was a coaching mistake that Jabari and Brogdon were probably not getting more minutes. And I think now with them on the court, and I think it kind of lit a fire under Jabari. He played like a madman in Game 3. That's what it took, him getting very little minutes in Game 1 and 2. And I think we've just awoken maybe Melo Part 2. That's what he was thought to be when he first came into the NBA.
Yeah, at Duke he looked like Melo, but I mean, it's good that you mentioned Melo. So, right, we just talked about how Celtics have the coaching, Bucks have all this talent. But, I mean, is the talent always going to win out? So, last night was a great example of this, right? We saw this with the Thunder and Jazz. And Ricky Rubio out there last night looked like a combination of Dirk and Steph Curry out there. I mean, he was hitting these... I was like, what is going on? He was making these mid-range, one-footed jump shots.
So,
and on top of that, he was making these pull-up threes in transition. And I was like, wait, this guy, where has he been all this time?
Man.
yeah, that one-footer, flick 3-point shot that he had to
Was like a Curry shot.
Beautiful. And I have a proposal for a new nickname. I'm going to say, with full disclosure, I stole this off of Reddit. But the new nickname for Ricky Rubio is now Juan Stockton.
Well, I saw some people on Twitter were calling him Rick Rubio. Now he's like they referred as Rick Rubio from now on.
No more Ricky.
No more Ricky's grown
No
up,
more
man.
Mr. Nice Guy.
He's now known as Rick Rubio.
But that's what I heard back in Minnesota. He was kind of got around town a little bit.
Oh, Rubio?
Yeah, Rubio.
He looks like a samurai now with his long hair and his beard.
Yeah, I don't know how much around he's getting around in Salt Lake City with those Mormons.
But Deep, another shaky game from your boy Russ last night.
This is the Russell paradox, right? You're gonna get those games where he's not gonna play that well, but you're always gonna get that ferocity, that intensity, and that's unparalleled in today's NBA. I can't think of another player except Kobe recently who's had that same kind of drive that Russ has.
Yeah, but it's crazy. I mean, I feel like the Gobert's completely changed the series. So Russ almost looks kind of scared. Not scared to drive. He'll still drive, but he's not going at the rim like he would against any other person. I was like, wow. I knew Gobert was good, but I didn't know he could completely change a game like the way he's been doing.
Yeah, well, that's why people are considering him Defensive Player of the Year even after only playing 56 games.
Yeah, I mean, I was it's like crazy. Even Melo, like we saw that one play where Melo, he was driving, and it's usually he would just that mid-range pull-up, and he saw Gobert there and just passed it out.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Melo never passes that up.
Exactly. Melo is not a passer. We already know this from his career. If Melo sees a shot, he takes a shot. But I guess that's what Gobert does.
What do you guys think about the second place Rookie of the Year, Donovan Mitchell? What do you think?
Damn, taking shots right at him.
Well, so I don't agree with this NBA rule that as long as you don't play any minutes your first year, you're still going to be a rookie your second year. I don't agree with that. So
Mitchell would be a Rookie of the Year, right?
Yeah, but we all know it's not going to be. So I'm just going to go with the crowd on this one. But what do you think the true Rookie of the Year has been doing this playoff series?
Mitchell?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Nishant, you were comparing him to some players, right? From the
I he kind of reminds me of Dame in terms of maybe not the way he plays, but the way he presents himself. He seems fearless, and maybe not the Dame of this playoffs because he's been kind of shaky. But Dame, when he first came into the NBA, he was fearless. You remember when they were playing the Warriors back when like, I think it went 7. Was that them?
Or 5?
Or 5? Whatever.
The year that the 73 win season.
Yeah, whatever. And Dame was just he's not afraid of the best teams, and that's what Mitchell is. Mitchell's not afraid of the best teams. He's going out there. He doesn't care if the other team's got a super team. He's like, this is my team. I'm the leader. He's going out taking big shot after big shot. I mean,
he's not scared if he's looking at Russ, Melo, and PG, and or even Steven Adams at the rim. He's not scared. He's just gonna keep attacking.
And is this the difference between someone who stays in college for a longer period of time versus someone who's one and done?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly helped. I mean, if you look at him and Simmons, right, the two people who were probably the Rookie of the Year, I think they should have co-Rookie of the Year or something, but Simmons missed his whole first season, so he's technically had like 2 years under his belt before playing an NBA season, and same with Mitchell.
Yeah.
So we're giving all this praise to Mitchell. Do you think he jumps into that top 10 point guard category that we were talking about? Next season.
Well, is he a point guard? Because if he's going to keep playing with Rubio, I don't know if you can call him a point guard. He handles the ball. He has the handles of a point guard, but
maybe we can just say top 10 guard, top 15 guard. I mean, it's hard to say now this NBA, right? Like Simmons is really a small forward, power forward kind of build, but he's a predominant ball dribbler, and that's kind of the same thing. Mitchell, there's possessions where Rubio won't touch the ball.
Yeah, so it's hard to put a position on him, but.
Well, I'm going to say that Mitchell is going to go and probably displace John Wall in his standing wherever he is right now, because this playoff series for the Wizards is not looking that fruitful. I mean, they did win pretty decidedly the last game they played, but those first 2 games were pretty brutal for Wall.
Yeah, Wall and Beal finally showed up. I think they needed to get home or something. They need to sleep in their own beds for them to actually wake up and score some points.
Something about being back in the DMV.
Yeah.
Change everything for them.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I mean, you got guys like Lowry and DeRozan finally, getting that chip off their shoulder.
They did it.
They finally did it. Like,
congrats to the city of Toronto.
Do you think they're going to get over the hump and probably get to the finals, you think, if they have to face a team like LeBron's team or the Sixers team?
I think they're praying. They're saying they're praying that LeBron loses this round so they don't have to face him, because I think he's a matchup nightmare for them.
LeBron just has their number. I think when they step onto the court, same court as LeBron, they're just all scared.
Yeah. I think they're praying that Indiana can win this out.
Yeah.
So if LeBron loses, we're looking at the Sixers in the finals then, because I don't think this Toronto team can beat the Sixers.
Which would be crazy, right? I mean, first of all, they won. Who would have thought Sixers would have even won more than 50 games? And then they make the finals in this year. They're way ahead of schedule.
Right. Yeah. And what does that tell them about trying to recruit LeBron? Is it let's try to recruit him more if they lose in the finals, or is it, I think we'll be okay without him because we're already there and we are young and we can get a little bit more asset with the draft picks.
That's true. Oh, because they're gonna have the Lakers pick, which is gonna be a top 10 pick for them. So they're gonna get another lottery pick, and then hopefully Markelle Fultz solves whatever issues he's had with his shoulder and gets back into form next year.
Yeah, man. As a Knicks fan and you as a Nets fan, I mean, the Atlantic Division's looking real good. I mean, the Celtics are doing what they are, but remember they get back Kyrie next year.
And
They
Hayward.
get back Hayward next year. That's 2 All NBA talents. And the Sixers, they're just going to keep getting better from now on.
Yeah,
So
all the more reason for LeBron to join up forces with Jared Allen and Karis LeVert.
oh man.
So what happens in this Toronto series? And do you think Toronto's fate is to win the series and inevitably lose to either LeBron or Ben Simmons?
I think it's too early to tell. I think the Raptors are still trying to figure it out. I think they're hopefully going to get through the series pretty quickly now.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I originally predicted 7. I think I'll also take the 7 games for the Raptors to get through it. If the I can see the Wizards holding their home court throughout this series, so they win Game 4 and Game 6 at home, and then but ultimately Toronto has the home court advantage, so I think they'll take it at 7.
I think Toronto will get past this series, but they're going to run into another roadblock in Simmons or LeBron, and it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, hey, we finally have the talent to beat the Cavs, but now we have to deal with another team rising up in the East that has more talent than us. So I think Toronto is just one of those cities that is doomed to never make the finals because every time they seem to have it. I'm sorry.
The hopes and dreams of the
I'm
whole
sorry,
city.
Toronto
A whole,
fans,
a whole
but
country,
A
not
whole
just
whole country.
Drake's not going to be happy about that.
Until the Grizzlies move back. But I mean, it's just one of those situations where they just seem to have put it all together finally. And I'm an Eagles fan, so I know this feeling that every single time the teams put it together, there's just another team that just for that one season just seems to have it more put together, and every single time.
Kind of like what happened with the Clippers, like the old with the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin.
Every single time.
They just ran into a team that just had it more together than them. Even though they probably had more talent, they just ran into the wrong team, or injuries got them.
I'm just excited that these playoffs have been entertaining all through. I mean, even the Pelicans Blazers series, as much of a landslide sweep as that may have been, it's been really fun to watch, and I'm excited to see what happens with the rest of the first round.
Yeah, thank God for competitive games and not just sweep. I mean, even sweeps are okay, but like at least they're competitive games, and we're not watching like these boring ass games.
Yeah.
So do you think the way this first round is shaking out, do you think this delays the 16 team seeding going forward, or is it going to be maybe another 5 years until it happens?
I mean, Adam Silver seems very open to change. He's already brought on a lot of change. I could definitely see that happen. I mean, another conspiracy I think is the whole reason they even bring it up is the possibility of LeBron going out west, and then an Eastern Conference playoff would just be so boring without LeBron.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, so I mean, probably the worst series in the East has actually been the Pacers Cavs.
But
series.
it has LeBron, right? So it's going to
that's the
bring
only
in the
reason everyone's
viewers.
watching it, yeah.
So that's the thing. With LeBron, people are always going to tune in.
Right.
So what games we watching today, boys?
So Bucks Celtics is about to start now, and then we got Warriors Spurs, and then who else is playing today? I think we're gonna have the Pacers Cavs later tonight. That'll be another good game.
Let's go watch some basketball. Get some great content next week.
Let's do it.
Awesome.